Welcome back to the Remarkable Retirement Event, how to plan the retirement you want. I'm your host, Melissa Moss, and I'm excited to bring to you today this conversation with Nancy Schwartz. So go into this thinking about, what do I want to upgrade about my life? I'm so excited for you to hear this and what she's bringing to the table. Something I've been sharing with people about the Remarkable Retirement Event is it's really thinking about how good can it get? How good can your life get? And ultimately, retirement is your life. So take a pen and a piece of paper and tune into this and let me know on the other side how good it can truly get for you. Nancy Schwartz spent 40 years in corporate leadership roles. She is considered a business expert in healthy retirement and has published with AARP, is a published book author, and a frequent podcaster. Nancy graduated from Skidmore College and is a member of several global mentorships in health and business. She is a classically trained ballerina and continues to dance today. In early July 2024, she expects to graduate from Rapid Transformational Therapy, a globally acclaimed program designed by the renowned Marissa Peer. This award-winning approach has revolutionized empowerment through hypnosis, guiding individuals toward profound changes and liberation from the thoughts that sabotage success and well-being. Welcome back to the Remarkable Retirement Event. I'm your host, Melissa Moss, and I'm here today with Nancy Schwartz. Nancy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thank you, Melissa. And I want to say thank you so much for inviting me onto this event, the actually Remarkable Retirement Event. And I'm so excited for you and your team to be sponsoring this, because this is a passion of mine in terms of the lifestyle piece of retirement. And so very briefly about myself, I'm that 40-year corporate executive who's lived a lot of lives, shall we say. And in my prior years, I was a classical ballerina turned modern dancer, and I'm still dancing today. And so I have an interesting perspective that we can talk about. And I think that it's so important, the work that you, Melissa, and your colleagues are doing and that the audience is listening to, because while finance is so important in terms of retirement, the piece that's the neglected piece is the lifestyle. And so I'm so happy that you're doing a comprehensive survey of very, very different subject matters with many of my friends and colleagues that I hear you're talking to, and I'm very excited for your team to put it together. So yes, I'm currently now running a company that I created. It's called Envision Healthy Retirement, and I'm the founder, working with corporate executives who are exiting to retirement. But as we get further into this program, I'm also building another company called Rewired Change, and I'll give you the details when appropriate. But yes, I'm a serial entrepreneur and always chasing the best science and really providing value for my clients and hopefully for your audience as well.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I love hearing about your background and your dancing also. That's really incredible. I believe that some of the hobbies we had growing up and early on in our lives really do shape us even as we enter into and throughout our careers. So that's really, really incredible.
Yeah, so it wasn't a hobby, if I may just course correct just for a minute. It was I was a professional classical dancer and modern dancer. Of course, now, no, not at all, exactly to your point, but I do take professional level classes. I go to New York on a consistent basis, and we have a lot of wonderful teachers from New York coming out to Connecticut. So I've seen many worlds, which is, the more you know, the more you want to know, right? So that's the world we live in today.
Well, that is beautiful. And thank you for correcting me there. Like that is, I can't even imagine the level of dedication it takes to become a
Mm,
professional dancer. So that is wonderful. So that kind of brings up something for me. I think to be such a pro at anything, right? So whether
mhm,
your career in corporate or as a dancer, you have, an identity around that or
mhm,
purpose in that.
mhm,
And I feel like that's connected to your work and also for people as they're considering or planning for, or actually who are in the transition period
mhm.
going into retirement. Would you explore that with me a little bit, how purpose and identity interact with each other and what an event like retirement might trigger for them?
Yeah, so that's a complicated question.
Sorry.
And there's a lot of and thank you for that question. And there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving parts, particularly on the lifestyle, as well as on the financial, but also, but this is the part that's neglected. And I'm so happy that you and your team are bringing this to light. So let's start at the really high end. And I think that your timing in the marketplace is just really extraordinary. So right now, 2024, the marketplace shows that 11,000 Americans are expected to celebrate their 65th birthday by December. Okay, so that's a significant number as we keep marching through the years. In 2023, to add to that statistic, the journalists started to recognize that Americans were living alone. And they estimated that about 30% of Americans live alone. But I think that it's much, much higher today, and particularly around urban areas where I live in the New York area. And this is a trigger for connection and certainly the loneliness factor. And the third statistic that I'm going to throw at you, Melissa, and the audience who's listening is that there's a drop in birth rates, meaning that we're not having these huge, massive families, but we are choosing to have our children later, and one or two children. And so that all is a big demographic shift as it relates to your top question, which is about retirement. And retirement is not traditional. I know that that was one of your questions, but it's not traditional. And that's the beauty. So let's get to your initial question here, which is, you had said, Nance, let's talk about purpose and meaning. And so I think that that's fundamental to people's overall wellness, that they will thrive, that they're healthy. But I want to step up in terms of the chain of looking at this at a much higher level. So let's talk about retirement in terms of we as Americans label things. And so we are, Melissa, at this company, and we have a certain, you have a CFP and you're going for more exams and studies, which is just so fabulous. And so is your team. But we are a label. So I was a partner and I was a ballerina and a modern dancer. And so we have this, and that becomes totally ripped off when all of a sudden we find ourselves in retirement. And that's how we think about identity. But the real focus around identity encompasses memories, experiences, relationships. And that, so I want to encourage the audience who's listening that finding your identity first is absolutely at the forefront, because this label does not define you. You are even more than that, even more. And that you're constantly, as a person, living and evolving. So the first key question when we think about retirement, and oftentimes this question comes up in later stage career, is who am I? Asking yourself this question, who am I today? Who am I now? Who do I want to be? Who am I becoming, right? So that takes a lot of introspection. The second question that I think would add value to your audience is, what's your operating system look like? Meaning, what values do you have? And oftentimes values are associated and made by the time you're 7. Maybe you'll take on your company's values, but they're not specifically yours. What's your belief system? And beliefs can be changed by one thought, but often we never upgrade that. We upgrade our cell phones, we upgrade our software and our computer, but that's kind of left alone. And I want to encourage people to radically look at your value systems and your belief systems. Why? Why is that important? To really start to, in your retirement, create that impact statement. So what does that mean? Do I want to provide philanthropy to a symphony? Do I want to construct houses for a terrible devastation that's happened around the world? Do I want to build a new company? Do I want to sit on boards? What do I want to do with my life that has impact? And how do I want to lead my life, right? By and through those values and belief systems in a new identity that I'm assigning myself. But the third question, and I know wealth management very well, and I know that wealth management has this problem on the finance side, but I can assure you it crosses over to the lifestyle side, is decision making. And what is that about you that requires a decision? So many things in retirement, and to really own yourself. Nobody else can do it for you. I've had so many clients say, well, Nancy, just tell me what to do. Well, that's the thing. I can't. Only Melissa can tell herself what she wants to do in her life. How do you want to live your life, right? So become that CEO of your life, own it with gusto. But then the most important thing is you've planned your life, you've designed your life, now go live that life, meaning experience it. And have multiple experiences, because people are very afraid of decision making. Oh, it's permanent. No, it's not permanent. You are to try out many, many things with curiosity so that you lead, this is very important for your audience to hear this, a quality life, quality lifestyle. Absolutely. And Melissa, I'm sure that many of your audience, they're peak performers, right? They're optimal performers. They're high achieving professionals. And so why not live the best life you possibly can, right? So set yourself up for success. That's hugely important, right? So who am I right now? Really dig deep, internally look. And many people are very afraid of that. It's very challenging. There's small words, but the effort needed is impactful, right? So to create that impact around the world that you're actually living, and then make those hard decisions. And they're very hard, but know that any decision that you make, you can change immediately because you're running yourself. So I encourage your audience to do the work and to really set yourself up for retirement, how you define it.
That's so great. Now, so many different things came up as you were sharing this, but I want to go to one thing in particular. So as people are sitting there with a cup of coffee or tea and their journal, and they're really exploring, who am I?
Uh-huh.
Is that question like, who am I as far as like what I have done to this point? Or is it, who do I want to be? Like, can it be forward looking?
Right. So there are 3 parts to that question, right? Who am I now, right? Right now. So I am that retired, let's just say, CEO, the postmaster, the doctor, the lawyer. Who do I want to be? So that's your future pacing, just what you asked for, your future pacing. Who do I want to be? Oh, well, I want to go build houses around the world like Jimmy Carter did. or I want to get into politics, or I want to be a philanthropist, whatever, build, whatever it is, work on boards. But then how do you construct yourself, right? Who am I becoming? And therein is your impact statement, which is made up of your value and your beliefs.
That's so important. I think so important, especially as people are planning for this transition where maybe their day-to-day routine changes or will change.
It
Yeah.
doesn't maybe, it does change. There's no maybe about it. It's radical change. And people who have not experienced this don't get it.
Yeah.
Right? So my big beef with wealth management companies is that we've got 20-year-old MBAs mentoring the clients, which is great, But in terms of lived experiences, they can't hold a candle to people who have lived that experience. And that's so important to either model yourself, with, let's just say, Melissa, you're farther down the path than I am. Oh, wow, Melissa did this and this and this. Well, yeah, maybe I should be, oh, that's a good idea, right? So having those leaders who've led before you, it can be really impactful. And that's your future pacing, right? You're seeing what's possible, and then you're taking your skill sets and saying, well, I like what Melissa did. She turned a little right here, and she went a little here. But I think I'm going to go a little more east, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I ultimately, like, this conversation really is about it's about retirement. Yes, but retirement is your life. Like, this is what it is, and it's anything you want it to be from this point forward.
Right.
And that's what I think is so incredible about it. Okay. All right. So what else do we need to think about or consider, or what would be so helpful for us as we're really kind of getting to create and design this, the steering, the point from which we create everything else in our lives?
Yeah. So here's where there are multiple balls, right? So I think of this very much as different verticals, right? So first you have to set yourself up for success, and it all pivots on you. Having conversations with your family and your partner, that's oftentimes there's a discrepancy as to what we want to do type situation. But if we get out of the dynamic of the communication of that family, what is it that you should be radically looking at? And I would say that the top one or top several would be absolutely to get your health in order. There are so many companies out there now. Science has changed, and it will continue to change. And if we have this tremendous growth in science as we did over COVID, why aren't we using this for our benefit, right? So there are many, many different companies out there that are allowing us to be able to see our health from a very different point of view. And also the focus here, Melissa, and I want to go back to this identity thing, but also all these other points that we're making along the line, right? So we're not looking like, okay, next week, Wednesday, I've made that decision, I'm good to go. No, these are looking at year 1, year 5, year 30, year 40, right? We are living longer, and that's where that quality piece really comes in terms of your health. Trust me, I don't think any listener here, not to be morose, but wants to be in an institution. I think that I'm flying over that, right? So I'm doing everything I can today to impact tomorrow's outcome. And if you look at all the incredible physicians out there who are influencing, and I know you have people on for your health, so I don't want to step into their bucket, but there's something magical that's going on, and why shouldn't we follow along? But it requires work, right? Relationship building, that's another one. That's a big, big bucket. In terms of health factor, in terms of thriving. And I think the other thing is movement, moving yourself. And that also is in the bucket of health, right? So moving your mind, moving your body. I think of it as a whole. Yeah.
I could see how dance would really play into that and connect it all together. So.
Yeah, it definitely does. And find things that speak to you, right? So people are probably absolutely allergic. They're like, I'm not getting out on the dance floor. What are you, nuts? No. But for some people, it might work. But what else is there? There's tons of things. From a science point of view, walking, the simplest thing, is so effective for you. Walking in nature, even better. I know people live in, we've had crazy winters here, and our spring here is very, very cold. But anything that you can do to increase mobility. See, again, we're looking at the focus of long term. So you have to think about that of the now, but also of the long term.
That's such an important thing because mobility, such a simple idea, but can have the biggest impact on your quality of life. So
yes, absolutely.
Yes, so that is so important, and we're having lots of talks around health.
Yes, good.
No, that's excellent. Okay, all right. So let's kind of bring this back around to identity and purpose, or some how can we really transform our thoughts when it comes to this? Is there a way to think about it, or a process we can go through?
So, so give me a little bit more clarity. I'm not quite sure I'm understanding your question.
Sure. So, okay, let me back up a little bit. Okay, as our identity is changing
Mm-hmm.
in this area of our life,
Mm-hmm.
are there things that we can discover or cultivate
Yeah,
as we create this sense of purpose?
yeah. Depends what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
So it's very individualistic. And that's the beauty of this now. There's no homogenous, we all do this. Like in my parents' day, it was March to Florida, right? So today, a retiree can do absolutely anything they set their heart to. And I think it's about being open. I think it's about being very resilient. Not to say that retirement is all like a party and fun time. No, that it's real life. Life is still happening. Problems still happen. But the fact that you can design what you want, I think that should be so liberating for people. Why do you have to follow all these rules? I hate rule followers, and I hate making rules, and I hate living by rules, right? Why can't we break that mold, which we're doing right now, and defining it individually for everybody?
Right. That is, I love that. It's so beautiful. And I'm from Florida, but I also love that it's not like.
Well, but if Florida's your destination, go to Florida. I'm not saying, I'm saying do what impacts you. And I get what you're saying, Melissa. I hear you.
There's freedom for that not being the prescription and like, oh, great. Like now, graduating
Yeah,
from corporate, now time to move to Florida.
right.
It's not for everyone. It's for a bunch of people, but.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the beauty of this. There is options. There are options. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And I know you also do work with people around our subconscious and changing our belief system. Can you share a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. So in my work with clients and seeing the transitions, either in early stage in their 40s where their company was bought out, or in perhaps retirement pure play, like a traditional retirement, and or early buyouts. What I have seen is people's rigor in being who they are and not changing. And that creates a problem because they aren't who they were yesterday. And there's something else today and tomorrow. And so I really scoured the world, and I kept thinking there's got to be a tool, there's got to be a technique, there's got to be a something something that I'm missing, or what could I add to the program that I have, and potentially that we could work with individuals who are earlier in their career, or maybe just out of college, or maybe, mid-career, etc. And so what I've discovered is this incredible technique, and it's called Rapid Transformational Therapy. It is a global award-winning program created by Marissa Peer. It's called RTT. And what it does is that it helps people unlock what is stuck, what's not working. So what do I mean by that? Stress, nerves, fear, paranoia. Maybe it's something about pain management. Maybe it's something around procrastination, sabotage. You get what I'm talking about, right? That's holding this person back. And a very effective way of utilizing this, if that person wants to change, so that person has to make that decision. And that's what I'm talking about, decisions. Like, what do I want to upgrade about my life here? And if that person wants to change, it's simply a fact of working with these tools and techniques. And part of the tools and techniques is a sensibility around utilizing hypnosis. And why do I talk about this? And why is this so exciting? And we've all known hypnosis. I went to Skidmore. We had a person, it was a stage act, making people run around and just be crazy. I remember it to this day, and I know exactly what seat I was sitting in the theater. It was quite spectacular, but this is far from it. This utilizes science, and what we've learned in science, and this is why I'm so passionate about the science piece of it, is the ability for the mind to effectively change their brainwave to be able to focus on. So when you're in hypnosis, you focus on, you eliminate the distractions. We are so distracted, and we are able to think about life without that problem. What does life look like? We get to try on something. And so the ability to be able to help people to change. So let's just say I'm volunteering and I need to make a presentation, and my presentation skills are a little rusty, and wow, I really want to do this, but I'm a little nervous, like way too nervous, right? Way too nervous. So I would work, let's just say, Melissa, you're the practitioner. I would work with Melissa, and we go back and we find what is stopping that person, and then we simply interrupt that, and then through neuroplasticity, we can fire new belief systems. That's what I've been talking about, belief systems that we change through our thought process. So we are learning that actions and habits at the back end, we all thought, oh man, and some people it works, some people it doesn't, but really that's the wrong end. To change things, we need to change. Again, this is upstream. It's like identity. It's upstream of purpose and meaning, that we're going to be changing our thought process. And it's very simple. So I'm excited to offer this as a free opportunity for your audience. I am a student. And I'm sure that all your marketing is going to state that. But I encourage people to try it.
No, that sounds so exciting. I love that. So the changing our brain wave and thinking about something new here, and getting past our self-sabotage.
Exactly. So I've worked with people with horrible migraines. I've worked with people in corporate now where there's an advocacy for a voice, or there's a challenging boss, or the stress levels are terribly high. I've worked with people who aren't sleeping, have relationship problems, all these types of things. So, yeah, it's fascinating. Humans are fascinating.
Yes, absolutely. And I love your mindset. Like, what do I want to upgrade about my life?
Yeah.
something I've been sharing around this event is really like, how good can it get? Like
Yes,
that's what
exactly.
like that's the question. And I'm just so on fire about that. So I love it.
Yeah.
And we'll
Keep
have
keep being on fire. That idea needs to be on fire a lot.
yes, yes, absolutely. And so we'll have a link to follow up with Nancy and get on her calendar for that on this page. So thank you so much, Nancy. I really appreciate you for being here and for pouring into our audience on this topic and helping them see how they can upgrade their life. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you to your team. And I'm so excited that you've had this wonderful, remarkable retirement event, and so excited to watch it in entirety. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this with you.
Absolutely. And thank you so much.